Okay, hi everyone, this is Mr. McGibbon here. I hope you're all doing well. We're going to move on to the next unit, and it's called the campaign cycle. But before we do, let's just go back and see where we're at so we can get our minds aligned with what we're doing and the goals of the session. You have got an organizing statement that details what your purpose is, what you're trying to achieve, and by when. Not only that, you have a narrative. You have developed a story about that. You have been able to tell that story. So when people are curious about what you're doing, you can tell them and connect with them on an empathetic level, on a human level. Presumably, you've created teams that are interested in the areas that you are interested in, that they've heard your story, they've looked at the organizing statement, and they really resonate with some part of that. You've created norms. You have worked with your group to create strategies, broad how might we questions that cover all different aspects, so you can make sure that the roles that you create are interrelated and really, everyone is helping everyone to reach that final goal of achieving what you set out to. And then you've got tactics. Tactics are the specific steps that you need to take, specific things that need to be done in order to reach your goal. And they should reflect the talents of your group and the fun and energy that you have as young people who are seeking to make changes in the world. So that's where we're at, and we're moving on now to this idea of a campaign. Now, you may have heard this word before. A lot of people, it's a simple idea. The idea is that a campaign has a definite start date and a finish date and very, very specific goals that you are trying to achieve. Whether it's a military campaign, you might have heard it in terms of military. They have a start date and they have a day that they wish to achieve things and they mobilize. But before that, you might have also heard it in politics. Lots of politicians have campaigns that go from here to here. You might have heard it in particular advertising campaigns. So McDonald's will roll out a campaign that starts on this date, that goes to this date, and they want to get a certain amount of sales of Happy Meals or whatever by the time the campaign finishes. I'm hungry for McDonald's now. It's not a good sign. So campaigns are things that are out there that people have been doing for a long time. So we're going to talk a little bit about this phenomenon. And the truth is, the idea of a campaign works really well nestled within a school. And I've mentioned to you before that things usually take a cycle, like a unit of study in mathematics, algebra or something. That's usually a campaign. It's a period of time, a specific period of time, where there are steps to reach a goal and to reach specific outcomes. But in schools, we call it a unit, right? Clubs, they have a beginning time and an end time. If they're done well, if they're organized well, they'll have strategic intent. They'll have ups and downs. They'll have people mobilized towards the goal. Then they'll have the event, and then it will stop. The seasons, sports seasons, is something that I can think of straight away that sort of is like that. And campaigns are things that are usually a little bit sophisticated. They're not things that are just easy to do. They're things that require mobilization, lots of people, lots of skills, lots of goals, lots of moving parts. And so that's why it's perfect for us to consider that in terms of campaign. Now let's have a little bit of a look at this picture here. So you can see on the axis there's capacity. If you remember, what we want to do is build the capacity of the individual members of our team and also our organization as a whole. But let's not forget there's people in there. So we want to build the capacity. That's on the left-hand axis, and time is along the bottom there. So what you see is a slow period of foundation, moving left to right. A foundational period where there's lots of research being done, people are working out all the sorts of things. You've actually been in a foundational stage for organizing, going through all the strategies and tactics and those sorts of things. But then presumably you have a kickoff date, a date at which things start. And then the energy starts rolling. People's capacity starts to build. You see the notes where it says peak and peak. I'll talk about that in a minute specifically, but basically when you design this, and this is designed, you want to make sure that people have peaks, that they have times where there is a build-up or some sort of skill has been developed or people's capacity to do something has stepped up. And within any campaign cycle, you actually need a couple of these peaks so you can get momentum and people learning and things happening, and energy stays high if that happens. Now, if you kick off and then nothing happens, or it's boring, or you haven't designed anything it's interesting to anyone, you're going to slowly not have any building of skill. Time will go by, people will get stressed out, you'll end up doing something, and then everyone walks away feeling unfulfilled. I mean, that happens to lots of people all the time. And all it takes is a little planning in order to get rid of that as a thing. I mean, to do stuff last minute is not how you engage people. It's not how it works. So what we want to do is design something like this, okay? And what I want is for you to try and design something like this, okay? So let's have a look at this. What I've got here is you've been working on this strategic template, and over in the prototypes and timelines, this is where we're going to put this. And I mentioned this in class. So you will recall that you would have your team members' roles and description, organizing statements, and how might we statements. And then you transfer the how might we's over here. So I've made a little example this morning when I found out we're all not able to come to class. And I've stolen, one of the groups had this idea. So I've got this, how might we create a gym that is pleasant and welcoming, right? And I didn't do this with anyone. I just thought myself, what do we need? So we probably need to develop a physical aesthetic that is pleasant. So a nice gym, something that is nice to go to is what I'm talking about there, pleasant to go to. The second tactic, design a gym experience to include and make all users feel welcome, right? And I think I did an inclusion workshop yesterday, so I'm all about that at the moment in my mind to make sure people have equal access to this, and that they're included, that we're actually seeking them out. And then the next one was have equipment that is accessible and versatile to all, right? So we've got issues with accessibility and versatile to all. In this example, I have put this person, Ringo Starr, has said they want to do this. They want to do aesthetics. This person, Taylor Hawkins, has done this in terms of designing the gym experience for people. And this person, John Bonham, is talking about having equipment that is accessible and versatile. And if anyone could tell me why I chose those three names and what they have in common, you get extra points for Gryffindor or Hufflepuff or Slytherin, whatever you're in. If anyone ever does that, let me know. We've got the completion date. So these are campaigns. These are individual campaigns, right? They have decided on these dates. Taylor's got June 10, Ringo's got May 16, and John Bonham's got May 19. They may have had to chat, together to make sure if the roles are interrelated, that they have a staggered sort of time frame, so they're not all finishing at the same time. But let's have a look at this. Let's look at the first one. So this is what Ringo sat down with a couple of people who were helping, and they sort of did a bit of a think about, took some notes from a meeting. So they say there's some colors that create moods. I mean, and I think that's true. The smell is not pleasant in the gym, right? So it's sweaty environment is not appealing. Oh, appealing. They took terrible notes there. Appealing. Sweaty environment, gross. Dominated by boys. This is what they thought. It can't accommodate more than 3 people at a time without it being awkward. And someone said, what about a TV with nice images? Well, that's one way to go about it. For this one, design a gym experience to include and make all. Taylor and a small group, said, what do users want to experience when they go to the gym? Who are the current users? What do we mean by welcome? I guess that means a lot for a lot of different people. What about fresh towels each time? So honor system drinks machine, welcome candy, membership rewards. It seems like they're having a bit of a brainstorm and having some fun thinking about taking some notes on that. This one, 1C, have equipment that is accessible and versatile to all. Serve people with physical limitations. Do we have any people with physical limitations? What equipment can serve most users? Okay, so here we go. Let's go through one at a time. So this group here, 1A, has decided they need to do some work before they even start in the foundation period here. So they need to pick a color scheme for painting and find a flooring solution, remove and manage smells, temperature and sweat, survey to see who's using it so they can ensure that there's fair access, and design it, and work on a maintenance schedule and norms so it can stay clean. They've decided that they're going to start on May 3rd. Now, the peaks, that would be kickoff, right? Kickoff is on the 3rd. But peak 1, peak 2, it's a little bit like the log frame you did. How will you know that you're growing? What are you going to work towards in small steps as you work towards meeting your strategic goal? So they said, step number 1 is a point where capacity of the team has lifted or the momentum has built. They said flooring and colors purchased. They have a solutions for smell, like air purifier purchased. They've surveyed data and collected and presented to the other teams on who's using it and those sorts of things. And they've created gym rules and norms set, and they've designed the poster. They thought that would be a good time to sort of keep people moving towards those midterm goals. Right. And then here's a further down the line, sort of a journey along here for the second peak, that the room is clean and painted and the posters are up. All equipment is in place, and work with John on that because John's looking at the equipment. A system for daily cleaning is established and supported in Stop and Clean. So they would feel that that would be a good extension of this idea. And then they've got completion. Launch day is on June 15. Invite the gym club, faculty, facilities team, snacks and speech, maybe a cutting of the ribbon to thank the team. And they don't need a celebration. They've said that let's just have a celebration on that day when it's complete. Then the wrap-up comes after that. After you reach your goal, which they have on that day, presumably, they have to evaluate and go to look at next steps. So they've got people are still not following the rules. TV does not have an Apple TV, so it's limited, and the air purifier is noisy in a small space. A lot of us want to move on after we've achieved something, but there'll be more iterations and more ways that you can improve it. The second one, quickly, design a gym experience to include and make all users feel welcome. They've chosen the same start day. So they've looked at, in the foundational stage, designing the accessibility experience with online booking, design the experience of user on arrival and departure. So they think the peak indicator level up of number 1 would be a website booking enabled and embedded in Matrix and Belly Awake. Email text welcome and automated for welcome and departure. So maybe it gives you a reminder and says, don't forget you've got a gym session. And then after the gym session, it says, hey, congratulations on moving towards your goals. Please remember to keep the facility nice. Well done. They're thinking that the second level up would be to run simulations with 10 people to get feedback on the experience and the degree to which it is welcoming. Remember, their tactic is to try and make people feel welcome. And they think launch day as well. I think they got together and they sort of said, oh, launch day is a good day for us. And they've got this one. Who will monitor? This is what came up in the evaluation. Who will monitor the website after the grade 12s leave? What happens? Does it just stop dead? So they've obviously got more work to do. They've got to find a solution for that. The third one, have equipment that is accessible and versatile for all. In the foundational stage, they were going to research with nurses and counselors to see what needs to be addressed. Consult with experts on the choice of equipment, design the layout after discussing with the team, which I presumably is everyone. They start, their level up peak that the small group will work towards is decided, layout is decided, and equipment is purchased. All equipment is in place for level 2, and then launch day is their celebration, right? And then, of course, after that event, there needs to be some learning. Otherwise, you're not sort of building the capacity of everyone. So you'll notice that an individual name there is really about a responsible person, but that's not really a one-person job. You actually need a couple of people in that job. So Ringo's job, who's accepted that, is going to have to go and look for someone to help out. A couple of people, I think, would be reasonable to have a bit of fun with this. If the group gets too big, then you lose a bit of momentum and you have to manage the group a bit more. But I would say for each of these endeavors, if you had 3 people, it'd be a pretty good working group. Now, if your tactic is not sophisticated, is like very, very simple. You don't need to go through all this. You could just do it. But we're actually talking about things that are long-term, that are multifaceted and sophisticated. And I would say that most of you may have been participants in things that were sophisticated and multifaceted, but you may not have organized it before. So this will be a new experience for you. I think if you look at our school, a lot of people think, oh, it's easy to run a school. You just have to do this and that. But they really don't know how difficult, how many moving parts, how many constituents you have, how many needs that need to be addressed. It is a very, very large machine. And in a large machine, you need to keep track of things. If you only have 4 people in your group, maybe you have to do all this together. But there is a good reason to have a bigger group. And if you can have meaningful work with a bigger group, then that's what you should try out. Imagine if you had 12 people working on this and they're all working on this at the same time. You're absolutely going to have a situation where roles are interrelated, where you're going to have momentum because you've actually chosen these things. You're going to be able to look across and see other people working that will compel you to work. And you've got a way better chance of actually doing it. Now, one of the arguments is from students. They say, why do I need to write all this stuff down? This is just busy work, But what I'm saying is you're laying down a roadmap that's easy for people to understand. When you get to the meeting, what are we doing today? Oh, that's right. We're doing the website, right? And we've got to hit that by a particular date because we have to move on to the next one, okay? So this is what I'd like you to do with your group. I am not going to say anything else here. I'll put all the homework details in the email. But thank you very much for listening. This will all be, I'll put this example as well on this website so you'll be able to reference it and get a bit of an idea of where you're moving towards. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.